Some people have seen where God has brought you from. You don't really understand it. They don't know your story.
Hello and welcome to You Don't Know My Story, a monthly television program where a guest comes on and they tell their story. But I want to start off, first of all, Happy New Year's. Welcome back. We're in 2021 now. We just left 2020. So I want to start off talking about what is going on in our world today. Well, 2020 ended really bad. The pandemic was still going strong. Our president incited a riot at the White House, and you know that was wild. 2021 is still going bad. We have a new president. Hopefully, he's going to do a lot better than the president that we had. We are in a dire strait. We are living in a different type of world today. With the pandemic, with the virus and everything that's going on in our world, we just have to be a little more careful. You know, they're asking us to mask up. They're talking about the vaccine. Now, personally, for me, I'm going to take the vaccine when it comes my way. The only reason why I'm saying that is when I was a little boy and I was going to school, and they told us that we had to be vaccinated in order for us to go to school. It ain't no different than it is today. Now, some people that has high-risk ailments, it's understandable. Check with your doctor before you take it. I'm high risk. I'm a diabetic. I have high blood pressure, but I think I want to live a little longer. You know, we lost a lot of good people through this pandemic, through this COVID-19. A lot of people left this earth. Right now, they're saying that we should hit 500,000 by the end of February. That's a lot of people. You know, we lost more people in this pandemic than we did in World War II. So that's just going to tell you something. But all we just asking is mask up, social distance, be careful, wash your hands. You should wash your hands anyway, but that's part of it. So let's hope that our president will do something a little bit different than the other president. And with that, we'll be right back.
It costs so little to teach a child to love, and so much to teach him to hate. These simple but profound words from our founder are at the core of each parenting strategy you'll find at boystown.org/parenting.
Teach me respect.
Teach me patience.
Teach me love.
Visit boystown.org/magnet to receive a Teach Love magnet as a reminder that the change we want to see in our world begins at home. And Boys Town is there to help along the way.
Further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Ohio.
Hi.
Hey, Miss Ohio.
It's Miss Ohio for America.
For America.
Yeah, that's okay. Everyone gets them mixed up. There's so many different pageant systems.
Okay.
So I'm Miss Ohio for America 2020.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Look at you. Go ahead, Miss Ohio.
Thank you for having me. I see we're matching
Yes, ma'am.
in our red. It's like the same bright red, too.
Yes, that's one of my favorite colors.
It's one of my favorite colors.
So, Miss Ohio, tell me something about Miss Ohio.
Okay.
Where she came from, how she began. You know, come on, tell your story. That's what we waiting to hear.
So I am a lifelong Ohioan, first and foremost.
Okay.
Raised in Dayton, moved to Mason, Ohio for a little bit, for middle school and high school, then came back, went to college at Wright State, and have been in Dayton for the past 10 years. Okay. And now I'm at the University of Cincinnati getting my master's degree in applied psychology.
All right.
Yeah, so I actually started competing in pageants in college, in undergrad, in 2013. Mm-hmm. And so It's been the craziest journey, first of all. Like, when I first started competing, I didn't realize just how many opportunities that it would give me. I didn't realize how it would change me and how it would give me a purpose. And so the way that I got involved, right, so we got to go and see all the people who were coming to watch the Miss America pageant, and we got to see a snippet of the pageant, and something just clicked in me, and I just saw all the amazing, talented, beautiful women on the stage, and I said, I feel like I could do something like that. And there had always been something in me that wanted to show my more extroverted and glamorous side, but I just wasn't sure how I was going to do that, which outlet I was going to use. Because I was always a studious and intelligent person, but I had this other side of me that was just festering. And so I was trying to figure out what avenue I was going to use to bring out that light in me. And so once I saw the Miss America pageant and was there for Miss America weekend, from then on, I had just been hooked. So I competed in my very first pageant. And as you can imagine, it was a hot mess. My makeup was a hot mess. I was a nervous wreck. I had never done anything like it before. I had tried to tippy-toe out before, and I've done like some talent shows and some other things where you're on stage, but never anything like this before. My entire family came, and of course I lost. It was one of the most embarrassing moments for me, but it was also something that started to propel me forward, and I didn't even realize it. This fire had burned inside of me, and I just knew that this is something that I wanted to pursue. So one of the things that I took away from the very first pageant was realizing how low my self-esteem was. So when you go into a pageant, a lot of the times you go in thinking that you don't really have to do anything but just sit in front of a bunch of people and talk and be beautiful, but it's actually so much more than that. There are so many life skills that I didn't have that I gathered through competing in pageants, and that very first pageant is what brought that to light. So over the past 7 years of competing, I have not only built my confidence, but developed a purpose. And I realized that anything that you do has to be something that's bigger than you. It has to be purposeful. You can't just be a pretty face. You can't just want the limelight. You have to realize that you're in a position where you can make a difference. And I knew that having this title was what I wanted to do to make the difference that I wanted to see, especially with young women who were like me, that was struggling with low self-esteem and didn't really have any guidance about what she wanted to do in the world. And so I always say that pageantry saved my life in that way, because it was through that avenue where I learned what it was like to persevere. I was also a black title holder competing in pageants in Ohio, and Ohio is extremely conservative. So, black standards of beauty do not match, the old style pageant standards. So I had to deal with a lot of that. There were times where I felt like I could have won and I should have won, but I didn't. And after like my third pageant, there was a woman who came up to me and told me not to compete anymore because they were never going to pick a black woman to be Miss Ohio. And even that had changed my life, right? Because I'm 3 pageants in. I've lost them, right? Like I lost all 3 pageants. And now there's this person that's telling me that because of the way that I look, I'm never going to be able to do something like this. That lit a fire under me. I was like, what? No way. There's no way. And but I mean, we fight racism in every sector of American society, whether people want to admit it or not, including especially in the beauty industry and in the entertainment industry. But I knew that my purpose was greater than, what I was trying to look like, if that makes sense.
It makes sense.
So I felt like my purpose and what I was trying to do was what was going to drive me. I was going to stand in front of a panel of judges and tell them why I wanted to do this, and that was going to be the thing that was going to overcome any type of, standard that they may have. Because I said to myself, I'm going to be someone with a purpose. I'm going to be a title holder that is going to make a difference. So it shouldn't matter what I look like, because my goals are applicable to all women, no matter what they look like. And so I competed 22 times before I finally won. And anybody who's been on my journey with me, they could tell you how many times I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I never gave up, because I always kept that purpose. That purpose was always there. And I was so determined to show, young women that it does not matter what you look like. It does not matter how many times you've lost. If you have something that you want to do, you do it until it's done. So I said I was going to do it until they wouldn't let me do it anymore. And then I finally won on my very last try.
All right. Well,
my very last year of eligibility.
And I can kind of understand exactly where you're going, because, I had a journey, and my journey started in the 70s. And I went to modeling school myself. And they told me that I would never really make it anywhere because I was too short. Because knowing back in then you had to be at least 6 feet tall, 5'11", 6 feet. And that was my motivation.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I competed in, because I competed in pageants, male pageants. And I competed in a pageant. It was the Mr. GQ Male Model of the Year Award.
Okay, I've heard of that.
In Philadelphia, right? And they told me I couldn't win because I was too short. So what I did was I went out differently. I didn't give them a straight runway walk. I gave them a performance.
Oh, that's what you got to do.
And the performance was so good. They
had to pick you?
They had to pick me.
That's kind of where my mindset was with it. It was like, it doesn't matter what I look like. Y'all are going to get this work, okay? And so it was 6 years of building myself up, though, because every time that I lost, I felt like it took something from me.
Yeah.
And so I had to remember why I was doing this, and I had to tell myself, even if you don't win ever, the things you've been able to accomplish without a title is something that you should be proud of. They call it an invisible crown in the pageant world, right? Because when you compete, only one girl can win.
That's right.
That doesn't mean that you haven't won in your own way.
Right.
And I feel like the things that I've been able to accomplish and the people that I've been able to reach within these past 6 years, the support I've been able to build up behind me, I feel like I had won before I even finally won. But it took me a minute to realize that. But in 2020, despite the pandemic and everything that happened, all my dreams came true.
Oh, that's great.
So I got accepted into grad school that year, and I finally won my title. So my platform for the year has been focusing on women's leadership development. My goal has been to put Ohio at the forefront of building up women leaders. So Ohio is a leader in so many different ways, right? We've got amazing health research going on and military research going on at the base where I work.
Yes.
And we've got sports teams, right? We've got the Bengals and the Browns and the Indians. So we've got sports here. Yeah. We've got academics here. We've got University of Cincinnati, which is an R1 school, meaning it's ranked high for their research. We've got Ohio State here. We're the home, birthplace of aviation. We're big in the film world. I just recently found out, right? We're a leader in so many different ways. And so one of the things that I wanted to do was to propel that leadership in Ohio by making Ohio one of the leaders in making women, like bringing women to the forefront of leadership positions. So this means getting them not only involved in leadership positions, but helping them to make decisions at the highest level. So what I've done, I actually just proposed this, and it's being sent off to the governor. It's called the Ohio Women's Network. There was something that I noticed when I was trying to reach out to different organizations when I first started my reign. I noticed that there were so many resources for women, but they were also disconnected. And so I was like, I feel like we need a one-stop shop where women can go and find the resources that they need. So I proposed the idea of creating this online directory that was going to have a bunch of resources for women. And I just proposed it to the governor. So I'm waiting to see what he's going to say and how he feels about it. And I also plan to make it an initiative, right? Because everything that I'm doing is to bolster women. And so my platform has 3 pillars to it. The first one is the development piece, women's leadership development. And I feel like leadership is a spectrum, right? So you have like the Michelle Obamas of the world, and then you have the mom that's raising 4 children in her home, but she may not see herself as a leader. But my goal is to show women that no matter what you're doing, you are capable of being a leader in your own way. So highlighting that spectrum of leadership and doing it from a young age. So I'm going into schools and working with different mentorship programs and youth development programs to try to explain that spectrum of leadership, starting with young girls all the way up to women who have, you know, done amazing things. So that's the first pillar. The second one is to highlight the women leaders. So part of my job as a title holder is to use the crown and sash that I have to bring light to some type of issue, right? And so I really wanted to highlight the women who are in our community, in our state, that are already doing amazing things that otherwise wouldn't get any type of recognition or attention that they need. So, you know, Black women are leading in getting degrees, and they're the most educated group in the country, yet they're still so underrepresented in so many different leadership positions, especially minority women. So I use my social media platform and use my voice to amplify the voices of the women around me. I think that's important. So like every time I'm going to an appearance, I try to wear something from a small business owner, a small woman business owner, so that I can highlight that. You know, just doing what I can within my sphere of influence to really begin bolstering up women that otherwise wouldn't be able to.
Well, you know what I want to do? I want to take a break. Commercial break, and we'll be right back. And we continue with this. Okay?
Lupus is a chronic and potentially life-threatening disease. It affects tens of thousands of Canadians. Could you be one of them? Lupus can attack any organ of the body, causing recurrent illness, chronic pain, and disability. If you have at least 3 of these symptoms, ask your doctor to test you for lupus. Lupus often goes undetected, and delays in diagnosis and treatment can lead to permanent organ damage. To learn more about lupus, visit sasklupus.com.
Okay, welcome back. Now we have to get back to this terrific story that you was telling us about, but I just wanted to kind of intervene in some things because I know exactly what you went through, because it was kind of rough for me, you know, because I became an actor, you know, when I couldn't become that model that I wanted to be. But you know, it was all in God's plan for me, you know. And it's funny how I had been in this business since 1972, 73 when I began. And, you know, doing my own fashion shows and different things like that. And I did fashion shows in a different way. You know, I didn't do strictly runway modeling. I incorporated theater into my shows. I would do stuff like when Lady Sings the Blues first came out with Billy D. Williams and Diana Ross. I incorporated that into my fashion shows. And, you know, so those are the type of things that I would do.
Yeah.
And, you know, because I love acting and I love writing, so I wrote my first play back in Philadelphia. And it's funny how my play really didn't take off till I came to Dayton, Ohio.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
Mama knows a lot, but Grandma knows everything. It took off here in Dayton, Ohio. I mean, I think I performed it about
Wow.
three times already. And then we just did a show before the pandemic called You Don't Know My Story. So there's some things that I had done. And right now I'm not doing any because, you know, a lot of the venues are closed. And I can't see going to the convention center and doing half a audience.
Yeah.
When I'm paying them, but we're not getting
For a
paid
full
for it.
audience.
Right.
I
So
get it.
I understand exactly where you're coming from, and let's get back to your story because
Okay.
it's fascinating.
So I had just finished with the second pillar, which was highlighting the women that I feel should get the recognition they deserve. Because women contribute to the community, they contribute to the forward movement of our communities, they contribute to our amazing state and the history. Like when you look at history, there's so many amazing women behind a lot of these figures, but they have never gotten the recognition that they deserve. I love history, that's another thing. I love reading about it, but what's crazy is you never hear the stories about the women. And so I'm very passionate about making sure that people understand that women have rights, right? So a lot of this turns into a human rights issue and human rights advocacy. And so they're human beings first before they're women. And if they're contributing, I feel like they should be treated, you know, in the same way that a man would be treated. So just highlighting that amazing spectrum of womanhood and leadership. And so the third pillar, right, is addressing gender inequities that are hindering women's leadership. So I've gotten to speak to so many amazing people throughout this reign, and it's only been since July, and I can't even tell you how many amazing women that I've met. But I spoke to 20 women who were incarcerated. I didn't even realize there were only 2 prisons in the entire state of Ohio. So these women were just telling me how crammed it was, how poor their conditions were that they were living in. And one of the things that stuck out to me was just how much abuse these women have suffered and how it led to their incarceration and how it led to a certain lifestyle that led to their incarceration. So one of the things that I've done was meet with a member of the House of Representatives, right? And I'm trying to address some of those gender inequities that women are experiencing because it leads to a poor quality of life, which sometimes can lead to horrible things like incarceration. And just addressing some of these horrible, like, I want to just call them inequities, right? Like some of these things that just are not fair, that are just not fair. And that just means understanding that spectrum of womanhood, understanding that a woman doesn't have to have children to be considered a woman, or, you know, just breaking some of those old school values. I know you're looking at me like,
no, I'm listening.
You're looking at me. I get a lot of those looks, but I mean, I look at myself, and I'm 28, and people are asking me questions like, when are you going to get married, and when are you going to have kids? And I feel like I'm just coming into who I am. I've spent the past 6 years trying to build myself up and build myself into who I am, and now I'm supposed to just drop some babies. And I just feel like people need to understand that women are made for more than that. And there's this thing on social media, I don't know if you've seen it, but they say, why do relationships not last as long as they used to? And if you look back at some of the things that women were going through in history and the woman's role, even 50, 60 years ago, there's so many things that have changed. Women have always had their own ideas. Women have always been foundational and have been the backbone to so many different movements and so many different innovative things that have occurred, especially within our state. But they, didn't have the money, or it wasn't socially acceptable for them to do these things. And so I just want to bring attention to the fact that if a woman says that she wants to do something with her life, that her womanhood should not be questioned for it. So just highlighting the fact that women, there are all types of women. And I find myself in that category. Maybe one day I'll want to have babies and get married, but right now I feel like I have a calling to go out and do other things. Like I'm a scientist at the Air Force Base, and I have so many things that I want to do with that. I'm going to go get my PhD in clinical neuropsychology. And I feel like that would be really hard to do if I had a baby crying on my head. And so I just feel like my quality of life has been so amazing because I've embraced who I am, and I haven't let the world tell me who I should be. I feel like that's part of the reason why so many girls do have low self-esteem, is because they are not embracing the type of woman that they want to be. And so part of my job is to just allow women the freedom and give them the space to be who they want to be. And I think we're starting to see that changing, with the elected, our first woman of color, whatever you want to call her, Black, Asian, whatever, whatever you want to call her. She is a minority woman as our very first vice president. And I think that is going to open a lot of people's eyes. She does have children, and I feel like that also shows that you can be the vice president, and we know she's going to run for president, right? We know she's young enough, she's going to do it, right? She tried already. She said, she said, I'm going to be vice president, but we know she's going to run. So a woman is probably going to be president here soon in the next 10, I'm going to give it 10 years. Next 10 years, we're going to have a woman president, and she's got children, and she's got a husband. So to me, that highlights the spectrum of womanhood. You can have children and follow your dreams and work in your passions. That's one of the reasons why I like Meghan Markle too, who's married to Prince Harry. She was an actress, so she was able to follow her dreams. She didn't have her first child until she was 36. And, she got married, but she's also working in her passion. And I think that women should just embrace that full spectrum of what they're capable of doing. And so that's a lot of what my platform focuses on. I noticed that part of that problem is our girls just have low self-esteem, especially our girls of color, our Black girls.
Well, are you planning on running for office?
I've been told to run for office, but I personally don't think.
What would you run in?
If I was to run for office?
Yeah.
I would probably run for a seat in the Ohio State Representatives or something like that, where I could actually create legislation and change policy. Because a lot of these issues are issues of perception. And, I think with time and education, we can change perception, but people's quality of life is affected because of policy. So when you look at things like racism, you could hate me all day because of your ignorance or whatever, but when the policies and systems put in place because of that perception affect my quality of life, that's where we have an issue. So, I think with time and young people like myself stepping up and saying we had enough, we're going to vote for who we want to see in office, and we're going to make our voices heard, we're going to march in the streets, we're going to do whatever, we're going to begin to change perception. I mean, we saw that with the George Floyd situation. We can change that. But what we're not seeing is policy changing. that's kind of what I want to do with my degree. That's a big portion of what I want to do with my PhD, is I want to be a brain doctor. But I also want, why are you laughing? I want to be a brain doctor.
No, it's good. I mean, it's good. I'm glad to hear that.
But I also know it's important to also be an advocate. So I'm trying to find a way to bridge being a scientist and someone who's going to be providing patient care along with my advocacy. In order to be a good scientist and a good doctor, right, a quality care provider, you have to know what's affecting your patients. So if somebody comes to me with a headache, right, as a brain, pretend I'm a neuropsychologist, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, you're my patient. If you come to me complaining about headaches, we're gonna do the, routine assessment. I'm gonna look at your head. We're gonna do some CAT scans, some MRIs. I'm gonna see, oh, there's absolutely nothing wrong with your actual brain structure. And you're gonna say, oh, well, I keep having these headaches. What's going on? Me, being someone who's educated about other things that can cause headaches outside of just physical brain trauma or chemical imbalances in the brain, right? I'm gonna say, what's going on in your life, right? And you're gonna say, well, I have been stressed. We're in the pandemic. My kids aren't, doing well in school because they're not in person, they're virtual. I lost my job or my hours were cut. So now I'm starting to have headaches, okay? Or, I'm at work all the time and my coworker's stressing me out. He keeps saying these horrible things to me and I can't go to my boss about it because they might fire me. These social things, economic things, political things that affect people and cause a physiological reaction to that. I think it's important as a care provider to be aware of these things, right? So that when your patient comes in, you're not just turning them away with some expensive medication that's temporarily going to, cure them of their pain, but not address the root problem of their issue, right? And so when I look at health problems, we call it the social determinants of health. A lot of problems that people are experiencing are because of policy-related things like racism and capitalism and classism and sexism. All of these isms are affecting the quality of people's lives and at a larger rate minorities. And, so if I was to sit in office, I would say, we got to address policies. If we really want to make change, we've got to address the policies that are actually affecting these people. And as a scientist, a lot of our research results are based on white, elite, male, Western ideologies and mindsets and worldviews and viewpoints and perspectives, however you want to say it, right? So when they're coming up with research questions and they're coming up with research methods and you aren't aware of the different cultures of people that you may be interacting with or you may be your participants, you're not thinking about the methodology to use to adjust or, accompany those individuals' needs. So, for example, I am working with a participant right now who is bilingual. So all of the methodologies that we wrote up are for people who speak primarily English, right? It's written in simple terms, but if you're bilingual, you may have a difficult time understanding what the research is asking, what I'm asking you to do in this project, which in turn is going to affect the way that you perceive the project and the way that you carry it out and going to affect my results. If I'm not aware of how to adjust my methodology to someone who is from a different culture or background, then the results that I'm going to get are going to be skewed in some kind of way. But I'm going to put them out there as if this is truth and as this is evidence-based and science-based. And I'm not even thinking that there may be a possibility that this person messed up my results because, you know, they didn't fully understand what I was asking them to do. So I think as part of my education, it's really important for me to understand the backgrounds and the different social determinants of people's health and people's perceptions of things. Okay. Does that make sense at all? I just think it's really important. So when I go to apply for PhD programs, it's going to be important for me to not only just get how to look at your brain and ways to test it, but some of those other things that are going to affect how I'm testing your brain, how I'm perceiving your problem, and things like that. And so with my title, I do, you know, bring a lot of awareness to that kind of stuff too, because everything around us is research-based, even our policies and procedures. They're going to say we should allocate this funding to this initiative because so-and-so percent of this group is failing. We'll use Dayton Public Schools, for example, okay? So Dayton Public Schools is not doing so hot, right, academically. And so they're trying to figure out where they're going to allocate their funding to. Do we take it away from sports? Do we take it away from the arts? Do we add this? Do we take away this? Not understanding that, you know, a lot of the conditions of the schooling comes from so many different layers of racism and classism that no matter how much money you pour at this issue, if you're not fixing some of the problems going on within the community, then you're going to continue to have a failing school system. When you look at the successful school systems, most of the time they're white children, their parents are wealthy or middle class, they have access to healthcare, they have access to healthy food, you know, they have cars, they have clean neighborhoods. People don't even think about environmental racism, right? Where a lot of low-income individuals are placed next to factories with low-quality air or next to dumps, or, you know, they don't have the cleanest water. And people don't understand how that affects you, your body, and your ability to learn in your brain. So then we're just throwing kids into a school system and say learn, but we're not addressing those social, economic, and political problems that contribute to all of that.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, this is what I'm doing for my job. So I use my title to highlight these things and bring them to light because people don't think about them. And as a minority scientist, there's only a few of us in this command. There's almost 200 people, and I'm the only Black woman scientist there. Okay. The only one. And so sometimes even within my own, you know, research that I'm doing with my team, I have to say like, oh, maybe we should think about this, or maybe our methodology should be changed in this way because not everybody's going to be able to perceive it. Like, I feel like it's just given me a broader lens of how to look at things and how to look at the world. And when our results come back, I feel like there are always limitations to research because all of our participants and people who are able to qualify even and participate even are biased a lot of the times. So if you only have a certain group of people participating in a research project, you should never purport that your results are applicable to everyone because there are limitations to that. All right. And so I just like to put that information out there. We're talking about taking the COVID vaccine and the Black community and not trusting that. I think Black people should trust research, but be educated on how research works and be advocates for themselves, for their health, understand what they're putting in their body. So doing their own research on it, because doctors, like I said, do not get the education on some of those other things that patients might be going through.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take one more break.
Okay.
And when we come back, we're gonna have you wrap it up with where you going with this, and you know,
awesome,
all that you can do. Okay.
Thanks.
We'll be right back.
Okay.
YWCA Dayton is on a mission to eliminate racism, empower women, and promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. Since 1870, YWCA Dayton has protected and advocated for some of our community's most vulnerable individuals, including battered women and their children, victims of sexual assault and human trafficking, women at risk of homelessness, and girls in marginalized populations. These services are offered free of charge regardless of race, health, or background. YWCA Dayton provides the only domestic violence shelters and rape crisis center in Montgomery and Preble counties, offering a full safety net of trauma-informed crisis support services. This includes the Miami Valley's longest-running 24/7 crisis and domestic violence hotline, 937-222-SAFE. YWCA operates 4 housing programs that help stabilize and shelter women at various ages and stages, from those exiting our domestic violence shelters to women who have experienced chronic homelessness and trauma. All of our housing programs provide wraparound support to strengthen life skills, secure employment, and develop a network of supportive and empowering relationships. YWCA hosts a youth development program called Girls Lead, which encourages, motivates, and empowers all girls to develop holistically with strength, courage, and wisdom. Girls Lead offers a safe place for girls to express themselves, instills a love of learning, helps counter stereotypes, and builds skills and self-confidence for healthy, successful futures. In the 1800s, YWCA Dayton became the first YWCA in the U.S. to open a branch for African American women and girls. This marked the start of more than a century of work for racial justice and equality, with a particular focus on the intersections of race, gender, and poverty within our own community. Today, we advocate for public policy and legislation that supports racial and social justice, and we advocate for an end to discrimination against women in every sphere. At its core, our mission is simple: to preserve and restore the dignity all women deserve. To learn more about our critical work, visit ywcadayton.org.
Okay, we're back with this young lady with this fantastic story. We're going to kind of bring it to a close. We're going to have her wrap it up with what it is, her intentions, what she's getting out of Miss Ohio. We already done heard her platform, so she's going to run for office. She's getting ready. So, but we're going to bring Miss Kayelyin back on, and we're going to bring it up to a close. Okay.
Right. Well, first, thank you so much for having me. The next step is I'm going to go compete for the national title, Miss
That's
for
what
America.
I was going to bring up too.
It's March 25th.
Okay.
So we're, what, like 7-8 weeks out now? I just got a message from my director, and she's like, make sure you got all your outfits together.
Okay.
We're going to start training. So I'm in preparation for that, and my goal is to win that national title and amplify everything that I'm doing on a national scale.
Okay.
So I feel like I've been able to make so many
okay.
steps forward.
Now, is this for Miss USA or is it for Miss Ohio?
No, so I have the state title
Okay, you got
of
the
Miss
state,
Ohio.
okay.
So I'm going to go represent the entire state
Okay.
at the national competition,
Okay.
which is Miss for America.
Okay.
And I'll be competing against the other 50 states and District of Columbia
okay,
for the
okay.
national title.
All right.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm going to be hopefully winning that and
right.
amplifying everything that I'm doing right now. I've made so many strides at the state level.
Okay.
So I'm excited to see what I could do on a national level.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be praying and pushing
Thank
for
you.
because I really see a big future for you.
Thank you.
I see a future in broadcasting
In broadcasting?
for you.
Ooh.
Yeah. I see that future. So there's a lot of things that I believe, because you speak so intelligently.
Oh, thank you.
You know, so I know your background and where you're coming from and your vision, because you have a vision.
I do.
That's the main thing about it. You have a vision, and I can see you talking to younger folks. Well, not so much younger folks, but people more around your age.
Listen, I've spoken to 3-year-olds
Well,
all
but
the
no,
way
but
to-
what I'm saying is, I'm just saying, being able to talk to your peers, okay, and the older generation is understanding where you're coming from. But see, we got to get the younger ones first. You know, the ones that all they think about is hip hop and all that other kind of stuff. You know, instead of thinking on the level of intelligence.
Oh, see,
So
there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with letting kids be kids, but I think on top of that, we have to teach them about the world that they're going into.
well, that's what I'm saying. With a
Yeah.
person like you that's in their realm, you know, because, you know, they look at older folks as saying, well, you know, they live their life, so let me live mine. But when they talk to a person like you that's in the same, you know, on the same level, then they get a better understanding, especially women. You know, letting them know that you can be more than just baby makers. You know, it's more for you. And just hearing you say what you're saying, I understand, trust me. You know, when that time comes, you'll have a husband, you'll have your kids.
One day.
You know, I'm saying you'll have all that. But right now, you have a different vision. You know, you have a different purpose. So use the purpose as God is leading you into,
Yes.
and then you'll see that everything will be all right.
Yes,
I would
thank
like
you.
to thank Miss Ohio once again. Thank you so very
Thank you.
much. I mean, hey, look, you put some stuff in my head, girl. But I just want to say that, you know, we got some things coming up. We got some things that we're working on. I can see her sitting at this chair interviewing her people. So don't be surprised if you see her coming soon. So Miss Ohio, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
God
having
bless you,
me.
and keep on doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
All right?
Thank you.
All right.
We Care Arts believes in the healing power of creating and producing art that transforms physical, developmental, and mental health challenges into a future rich with possibilities. Since 1983, we've been providing a caring and safe space for our artists to engage in artistic exploration as they work through life's challenges. We currently serve over 1,700 individuals at our Berkeley Center studio in Kettering and at more than 40 off-site locations. Our program goals improve our clients' confidence, focus, individuality, communication, and responsibility. As a result, our artists demonstrate improved job, life, and socialization skills. When asked what We Care Arts means to clients or staff members, a common response is family. It's amazing watching our clients create beautiful art while honing and developing their skills and passions as they realize their full potentials. At the heart of our program are the many generous supporters who help bring the We Care Arts family together. It's through their generosity that we're able to provide the healing power of art to so many in the Dayton region. There's many ways to get involved with our organization, such as donating art supplies for our programs or sponsoring a client's program attendance. You can also donate your time. Whether assisting clients or working on special events, our volunteers contribute more than 28,000 hours annually, but their value is much greater than that. Their connections to our clients are immeasurable. Purchasing art from our retail stores is another way to directly impact the artists. It increases their sense of self-worth, builds job skills, and supplements their income. The remaining proceeds from sales are used to support and grow ongoing We Care Arts programs. We have a beautiful boutique at Town & Country Center and a renovated studio and shop at our main location on Wilmington Pike in Kettering. Magic is the only way to truly begin to describe what goes on inside of our studio. We're changing lives every day, fostering meaningful relationships, creating confidence, self-esteem, and improving overall quality of life for our clients. Our artists walk into the studio, set goals, and accomplish things they never thought possible. If you'd like to see more of the magic that happens at We Care Arts, please visit our website at wecarearts.org and follow us on social media. For more information, you can contact us at info@wecarearts.org or by phone at 937-252-3937. We would love to welcome you as part of our community.
Okay, we're back. And I have a very good friend of mine. She's on the show today. She just stopped by just to let us know what's going on with her. Her name is Miss Tina Mobley, and her TV show is called Real Talk with Tina Mobley. And she is coming back in February. Tina, hello.
Hello.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to
How
you
doing?
too, my dear friend.
You look great. You look great.
And so do you.
I am so glad to see you. You look beautiful.
I am so glad to see you too.
Yes,
so
yes.
glad to see you.
With all that's going on in this world.
My goodness.
Thank God that we are able to be seen.
Okay.
You know, and I don't want to get into a lot of stuff that's been going on with you because I want you to tell it on your own show.
Okay.
She's coming back February the 16th, y'all.
Yes, yes.
February the 16th,
Yes.
she's coming back with her own show.
Mm-hmm.
And she has a story to tell on her show.
Listen,
So,
real talk.
all right, Real Talk with Tina Mobley. Yes, yes, yes.
Real talk.
But I just wanted to bring you out so people can see
Okay.
that you're still here,
Still here.
still looking good.
Thank you.
Oh, she's an evangelist now, too.
Yes, yes.
But we're not doing church today.
Not today.
We're going to do something that she did a while back, and I think that's part of her repertoire. Not only do she sing gospel, girl, ladies, gentlemen, wait till you hear her sing jazz. That's what she's going to sing for us today. So as we prepare and get ready, Miss Tina Mobley will be right back, and she will be singing jazz.
Hello, my name is Brenda Moore, and I am the Vice Chairwoman of the Northwest Priority Board. The quality of life in American cities cannot be improved unless people of all classes, races, and ethnic groups, and public officials on all levels of government create processes and mechanisms for assisting problems, developing strategies, and planning and implementing corrective action together. There are several specific assumptions behind citizen participation in the Northwest Priority Board area. It acknowledges the right of people affected by public programs to have access to and influence on the processes by which decisions about their lives are made.
Hello, I'm David Greer, and I'm chairman of the Northwest Priority Board. It accepts that many of the best intentioned officials and technicians are often, by their training, experiences, and lifestyles, unfamiliar with the problems and aspirations of Northwest Quadrant residents. Therefore, residents' participation can result in more effective planning and programs for residents of the area. It recognizes that the process of participation makes it possible for those citizens formerly outside the system to learn how it functions and how to make it possible for residents to strengthen their skills and to develop the kind of new skills needed for effective citizen engagement. We accept these assumptions and hereby dedicate ourselves to the task of improving the quality of our neighborhoods and the lives of those who live within the Northwest Priority Board area of Dayton, Ohio. For those who would like assistance from the Northwest Priority Board, I can be contacted at 937-603-4051. And again, my name is David Greer. I am chairman of the Northwest Priority Board. Thank you.
And my name is Brenda Moore. I'm the Vice Chairwoman of the Northwest Priority Board, and my contact number is 937-414-0674. Again, that's 937-414-0674. Thank you.
There was a time when I didn't have no love, didn't have no one. Do you remember? the love that we once had. Well, if I had the chance to love you again, I'd make your heart forget I was ever there. If we forget the past, I know this time love would last forever, for always, for love. I'm not coming home anymore. Does it matter? Well, if I had the chance to hold you again, I'd fill your heart with joy and to make you remember I'm the only one for you. Yes, I would. Let's throw the bad memories out and make this the first day of forever, for always, for love. I'd be a fool to ever change if you said you love the way I am. I'd be a fool to ever change if you said you love the way I am. Well, it's gonna be starting here, starting now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Forever, for always, for love. Do it for the ones you love. Yeah. Ooh. Forever, for always, for love.
Great, great. I love it. Remember, February the 16th, she's coming back with her show. So make sure you tune in. Before I leave, Miss Ohio, come on back over here. Now remember, we gotta distance each other. No, you get over this way.
That's right.
Miss Tina Mobley, Real Talk, coming in February. Miss Ohio, she's coming here soon. Be on the lookout. Now, I just want to tell you about my upcoming show in February. I got one of the well-known DJs here in Ohio. He also had a band here. I'm not going to try to remember the name of it, but he goes by the name of Stan the Man. He'll be here next month, and we might have a surprise with him. So we'd like to say thank you for tuning in tonight. Look out for these ladies. You already know about Tina Mobley, but look out for Kayelyin. She's coming soon. Thank you.
Some people have seen where God has brought you from. You don't really understand it. they don't know your story.
Don't know my story.